The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, here I am. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. I'm Nikki Glaser. I'm still in Los Angeles, California. Brian Frangie is also in LA, not in the same place as me. Anya's here. Noah's here. It's a beautiful day. No hurricane. Nothing else to report, really. Just got a coffee. I'm reading a book that Brian got me called The Baby Decision. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to hear more about this. Have you come
If
to
you
a
look at the
decision?
girls' chat, I have screenshots of pages already shared that's triggering everyone.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm only up to
trigger warning.
Kirsten's energy.
Oh, really?
I'm
Okay, yeah.
one.
Kirsten went to a Reiki healer this weekend and got and had a lot of like cool insight into that stuff. But this Baby Decision book. So Brian, you got this book because you had heard of it, or someone had told you about
I
it?
bought the book. I don't know how I came up with this book. It must have been reviews, or no one recommended this book to me. In fact, I think people, no one mentioned this book to me. I just
No
bought
one's
it.
ever told you to
and
read
then I was
anything.
reading.
Yeah.
People told me not to read it. They said if you read this, problems are going to happen in your life.
Florida's
But
burning
I
this book.
went
They
against
probably
what
are.
they said. Yeah, I think around last year I bought that book because I was like, I don't know, I'm feeling really stressed out about this, and I just want to read a book that helps me come to more confidence in my decision making. And I never read it, so
This is a thick book.
Yeah,
I'm like, because it says if you've been having trouble making a decision, you've read all the articles. I'm like, it's so funny that people used to make decisions based off like an article I read in Parents Weekly when there's really a book that can help you that's this big. It's a thick book, it's probably an inch thick, you guys, for those of you not watching this. And yeah.
I did read articles. The person who wrote that book actually has a
Articles.
group that they have many articles, and they also bring people in and have like a workshop where they bring people in live to make this decision together.
Oh,
And,
wow.
like a therapist, sort of like a therapist that specializes in making a decision about having children.
Brian told me that it was a good book because it's warmly empathetic and wide-ranging manual. So it gives you the pros and cons. So it doesn't side with either way. Like this woman's not trying to
Yes.
get you to like not have a baby or to have a baby. And she gives you like the beginning of it. First of all, the beginning, you could skip the first 40 pages because it's about what you're going to expect in the book. What to expect when you're expecting reading this book.
God.
That also goes for
ruining.
every other book. Every other
God,
nonfiction book.
every
Just skip the
book.
first 40.
Stop. So yeah, and then you get to things and it's kind of asking you to do a lot of visualization of like, imagine being pregnant, imagine breastfeeding, imagine your husband not helping at all, imagine getting divorced and having a baby, what that will look like. Imagine every fallout. Imagine your baby is this. Imagine your baby is not this. And so I'm like, well, how is this book? That's just page 43. How am I? What are they going to ask me all the way down?
I'm enjoying your screenshots. I just saw these. Can I just quickly show the YouTube viewer a Nikki Glaser screenshot? Here's a normal one. Just part of a book highlighted. And then we
No,
move
that's
on.
actually that's totally normal because I'm
No, I
not
know,
giving you the
but-
whole book. I'm telling you
No,
exactly a little sentence to read.
You're getting defensive too fast. What I'm saying
Okay.
is I love this commentary. Dear God, no.
Dear God, no.
And then the other one is like, what did I say on the other one?
This one especially. Did you mean
This
like
one
I'm
especially.
triggered by this or?
Well, let me
one
just read
especially
you
what?
those screenshots that I already did. Okay, so the first one is just the greatest. It just makes it everything, like it says everything pretty much that I've always felt. And this is what I'm boggled by is that I think most people don't ask themselves these questions at all. They don't even think about it. And that is, I found, is my biggest thing about that I've been talking about on the podcast why do people want kids and why do people have kids? I don't get it. My real problem is why don't people think about having kids a little bit more before they do it? And here's another thing before I get started. Rant commenced, okay?
Woo!
I don't want to hear how hard it is. I don't want to hear how it was so much harder than you thought it would be. You know why? Because everything you hear is that it's harder than you thought it would be. do you think it is? And then imagine it's harder than that. So does every time someone says that, it exponentially grows? No, it's harder than what I imagined it would be harder, being harder than that I grew. It's always going to be harder. You're allowed to complain. Please don't take this the wrong way that if I think you have kids, you can't say anything because you chose that. That is not what I'm saying. I complain about my life I chose all the damn time. But don't be surprised when you're not sleeping. Don't be surprised when your nipples hurt. Don't be surprised by it. I don't understand this. I think there's something really funny about the fact that literally I've been hearing since I was able to hear words and process sentences from adults that having a baby and raising kids is way harder than you think it's going to be. Everyone's heard this their whole lives. So why are people entering into it thinking it's actually going to be easier than the thing that no one has ever said it's easier than you think? Literally 0 people. Maybe Nick Cannon. But other than that, no one gets off easier with childhood. So stop this. And that's the thing. But I want to reiterate, if you do have kids, rant over. You can complain about them all you want. In fact, my sister never complains about being a mom. And I go over and I'm like, will you just complain a little bit? Because this sucks. And I want to hear you let some of this out because I know you signed, because she's always like, I signed up for this. And I'm going to go, I understand that, but this is really ridiculous and it still sucks and you can still bitch about things you signed up for. But the surprise over it or trying to get other people to feel sorry for you because you go, man, it's just way worse than I thought it would be. Not interesting. We've been hearing it since we were 4. Don't care. I knew at the age of 4 I didn't want kids because I heard people saying that shit about me that they were raising. Rant over.
Yeah, you
Okay.
don't like a non-interesting take or a non-unique take.
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's the most take ever because it's been said a million times. And I don't get people still saying it's harder than you think it would be. I guess people are probably listening to this going, well, she doesn't get that even what she imagines being hard, it's harder than that. And it's harder than so it probably is. I probably would be a hypocrite if I had kids and say, you know what? I take it back. It is harder than I imagined it would be once I even added hardness to what I thought it would be.
Well, come on. We can imagine a little bit more. I mean, just imagine that it's harder than that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when I hear about, whenever I'm on a treadmill and I'm doing a workout where I kind of want to die, and usually I'm only at that level for about 30 seconds and then I take it down. I don't like force myself to do that much anymore. But when I do, I always remember the SEAL team. Like people in the Navy SEALs say that whenever you're ready to die, your body is capable of 17 times more that. 17 times.
Damn.
So if you think
Yeah, so
of
here's
that,
what I'm
you're
gonna
thinking
do.
about when you're working out. Oh
yeah,
my God.
because I want to go,
I'm
I
gonna
want to quit.
imagine.
And I go, you could do this for 17 more times and you think you're about to pass out right now. 17 more, bitch. And I don't do it, but I just go, I know I'm capable of more.
When I have a kid, I'm going to imagine that the kid is going to pull out a semi-automatic rifle and start shooting up the house, and he's going to be
Give them
spilling acid all over the
16 years
floor.
and they might.
He's gonna try to kill me every single day, and then I have the kid, and I'll be like, you know what? It's not as hard as I thought it'd be.
Yes, it's like my friend Gabe.
I thought he'd be shooting me. Yeah.
My friend Gabe Kia used to have a joke that he got busted for dealing drugs in college. And to tell his mom, he got a felony, right? And he told his mom, he's like, Mom, I got a felony. And she goes, for what? He goes, rape. And she goes, no. And he goes, just kidding, drugs, Mom, drugs. And she was like, oh, thank God. Like, she's happy about it now. So yeah, just make it the worst thing ever. That's what I would imagine too, is I think this book probably is trying to get you to do that. Imagine, do you still want it if it could go the horrible way?
Yeah.
So here's the quote that I loved. So people are she's lamenting in the book in the beginning on behalf of people who say, this is such a tough decision. Why is this so tough for me? I think people go, if it's tough, then I should just not have kids because why is this so tough? You should just know. And I think they're also comparing themselves to women like I do who are just, I've always known I want to be a man. And that really sultry tone that they say it really. And you go, oh, because your mom wasn't really around and you had to raise your sisters. So that's probably why, because you're forced into it.
Yes, so
that's me being
often
snarky and I'm
that's
jealous. Okay, so it says, why is this decision so difficult? My clients and workshop attendees moan. Are we the wishy-washiest people on the planet?
Wow, they say moan?
She says moan. Wouldn't most normal, reasonable people have decided by now? I answer their question with a question of my own. Do you want this job which I am about to offer you? Listen carefully. If you accept it, you will have to do it for 20 years. Before you commit, you are not allowed to try it out or even meet your boss or coworker. Consequently, you may have no idea if you will like the job or the person, nor will you know until you start if you will love or hate it. During the 3 months of your apprenticeship, you will endure sleepless nights, 24-hour shifts, 7 days a week. Sound good so far? But wait, there's so much more. For this grueling job, you will not receive a salary. In fact, you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to do it. Oh, and also there's no clause for quitting, at least not for the first 18 years. Are you grabbing the contract pen in hand and pulling your partner over to the desk to sign up right away? So that may sound like she's on the side of don't have kids. What she's trying to do here is not that, because she goes on to make a bunch of reasons for having kids. What she's trying to say is like, don't be mad at yourself for thinking this is a hard decision, because these are the questions people should ask themselves, and they don't at all. Because our society just like forces kids onto people. It's just the thing you do next. And I don't think people give it that much thought. And then this is the one that I said, this one especially. So it said, this exercise helps you consider career sacrifices that parenthood may demand. Imagine that a colleague moves ahead of you in some way simply because you can't work as hard now that you're involved with your child. Perhaps he or she is promoted first, even though you are more qualified. How would you feel about this? How would you react? My blood started simmering when I was reading this.
Why?
And by
Why
the end
did
of it,
this
I was like
make you-
100% not okay.
Why?
Well,
The
I was
competitive
actually talking
thing?
to Chris about this because we were talking about amazing female comedians who are like the best in the business right now and like are on the top of their game in the same way that male comedy legends are. And we couldn't really think of many. And my answer to that was, and we could think of some, but they have fallen off working in recent times, even though they are still of working age. They just don't produce as much now. And the answer every single time, I mean, I don't know them private lives, is that they had kids not too long ago. And aside from, Ali Wong still producing a ton of stuff, and there are exceptions to this, Tina Fey, there's always going to be a couple where you go, oh, okay.
Do you think it'll happen to Whitney?
No, 'cause she's insane.
She's pregnant.
In terms of like, she's just a.
What about
fucking-
Sarah Silverman? She doesn't have kids. Sarah
Right.
Silverman's a reverse example because she kind of like waned a little bit when in the time when she would have had kids, but she didn't have them.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. It could be totally a random thing that I'm seeing this causality of like kids equals less work, because you're right. Like there's not only Sarah Silverman, there's others I can think of too that, and me, I mean, my career goes in ebbs and flows, and it has nothing to do with if I'm busy with something else in my life. It's really like the business liking how toned my facial skin is probably eventually is when I'm going to lose work.
Also, you just get tired. I mean, you're just like, you know what? I've been busting my ass for 5 years. Then you kind of get into this, I'm going to slow down a little bit just for a year
Not
or two.
me. I don't think I'm ever going to
No,
do
I don't
that.
think-
I don't ever want to like I can't. No, I don't see that happening for me. I just, and even if I had a kid, I would find a way to stay relevant because of this. But the fact that it might, you know what it would take away from me? Guitar lessons, singing lessons.
Yeah.
Those things would be the first to go for 100%. No questions asked. Like, I'm not going to have time to like noodle on the guitar when there's like a baby screaming in the next room. And yes, I could get a nanny, but I don't even feel good having like being at my house when my maid is there cleaning, because I feel bad. Like I should be picking up because she's there. Do you ever have that when you have someone over doing a thing for you and you go, I gotta leave because I feel like I should be helping her sweep.
Oh, yeah. When my cleaning lady comes, I leave for the entire day. I also don't
that's
want
right.
her. I don't want to get in the way of her doing her job. I think it's more comfortable for her too to just be like have free reign of the house and be able to, knock out her blankets wherever she wants.
Dude, when
and
people
without
used
being
to
judged.
hang out when I would babysit, it would suck so much.
What's the point of that?
Get the fuck out. If you're a parent that like hangs out, like, listen, I would probably do it because I'd want to just work from home, WF H, which we've all started saying, which I didn't get that acronym note till recently. But I would probably do it, so I'm a hypocrite, but just know that I would tell my babysitter, like, I'm not watching you. Do whatever you want. Eat our snacks. Have fun. Let the kids watch TV. Like, you be as like, I would not be like, don't be different because I'm around. I'm gonna let you be as shitty of a babysitter as I was, because I wasn't shitty. I just let the kids watch TV when they wanted, not all the time, but more than probably the parents wanted to them too. Because guess what? I was babysitting kids that parents worked in TV. I'm like, this is good for them. They're learning about your job.
Right.
If I was a babysitter and then the parent told me what you just said, I would 100% think it's a trap.
Well, that's what everyone thinks when I tell them, like, I don't care if my boyfriend makes out with other girls. That's a trap. And I'm like, okay, well, test me then. Let's see. See if it's a trap, because you have my word on the nanny cam telling you to sit around and eat my snacks. That's where I discovered seaweed snacks. They were the seaweed snacks were not around 25 years or 20 years ago. 2000. No, that was 15 years ago. They were not around, but I first discovered them at the Apatow's house, which is where I babysat. But I was good to those kids because, you know, it's the fucking Apatow's, and you can totally. I'm to blame for how great they are and everything they do.
Do they remember you?
Maud did. I doubt Iris would, because she was like 4. Now she's 19 and she's in the newest music video for the #1 Billboard song right now. Olivia Rodrigo. She's best friends with Olivia.
Yeah, they're so cute. I'm like, what a girl gang. They're all so adorable.
Cute to put all your girlfriends in your music video when you're 19. That's my dream.
I know.
Okay, one more from this book and then we got to go, because this one is crazy. And this is one I wrote, Dear God, no. Okay. This is crazy. Okay, this is called, okay, I don't even know if I should give it the title. Picture a perfectly healthy newborn with a touch of jaundice. I had jaundice, by the way, as a kid. I was like incubated for a bit. His eyes and skin are slightly yellow, and like most newborns, he's covered all over with fuzzy hair. His head has been misshapen by the trip through the birth canal. Now consider the following description. And this is in like indented, so it's like pulled from another piece of literature. I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. It breathed hard, and a convulsive motion agitated its limbs. His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing. Does the quote above refer to a baby? Well, yes and no. It comes from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. While it supposedly describes a monster, literary critic Ellen Moores in Literary Women insists that Shelley was really talking about the horrors of motherhood. She wrote Frankenstein during her third pregnancy at the age of 18 after her firstborn child had died. Pregnant women often dream about monsters. God. In some dreams, the monster is clearly the dreamer's baby.
Frankenstein is trying to encourage people.
No, I swear to God, there's these. I'm highlighting the things that have stuck out to me, to like that really. She's helping me make the decision. I mean, this stuff is hitting home for me. So I promise you, like Noah wants kids. Noah, is this dissuading you? Do you give a fuck if people get promoted over you? Do you give a fuck if your baby kind of gives you monster dreams? Do you give a fuck if no, it's 20 years with no pay?
I think at this point in my life, at this age, that stuff doesn't bother me. If I would have been like in my 20s, it definitely would have bothered me. But that's why I didn't have kids in my 20s.
That's a good point.
Interesting.
Well, that's the beauty of the book. That's how you know it's working. See, you're reading the book and you're highlighting passages that are against having a baby. If Noah read the book, she would find the passages that are pro-baby to be more resonant with her.
Right.
Yes. Well, when
yeah,
we get back
I guess
from break,
it's like
Well,
I was going to say, we kind of tend towards looking at like an echo chamber where it's something that is what we want to hear. So I think and Brian's right in that.
And that's what this is. That's exactly what this is for. Like, this is trying to encourage you so you can have a great decision and have all the reasoning behind it, which has been the theme of this podcast now for like 3 weeks, which so many people have sent me messages, by the way, of like why they had kids or why they think people have kids or why they want kids and don't have them yet. And I have so many good DMs that are like, I could write a book, I think, at the end of all of this. Like, I think something might come of this bigger, maybe a movie or something about being childless. Which, by the way, I think I may have talked about this before. I bought a sweatshirt that says childless because it was from, and I really liked it because I'm proud that I'm childless and I don't think that's like a bad thing. But all these comments in the Instagram post for the sweatshirt, not the one I posted. I didn't post it yet, but in the ad for it, people are like, this should say child free because women who don't want kids, they're free of children. And I'm like, and women who are childless seem like they're like, I don't have one and I want one. Childless is supposed to be for women who want one. And I go, no, I'm childless because I don't want one. Therefore, it's not my fault that I don't have a kid. It's as if I'm barren in my brain. Do you know what I mean? Like a kid could really improve my life, but I am also childless because I don't, the same way some people's bodies can't have one for whatever reason, my brain can't have one. And maybe I do want one in my heart, but my brain won't let me. So am I allowed to say I'm barren in the brain a little bit?
Your heart needs to fuck your brain.
My heart needs to fuck my brain?
Well, you said my brain doesn't, but my heart does.
It sounds like it needs to rape my brain because my brain doesn't want it. So, okay, well, the heart gets what it wants. The heart wants what it wants, and you can't say no. Okay, well, we'll be right back after my heart rapes my brain.
If anybody wants to write a book called The Mattress Decision, I'll read it because I'm having a lot of trouble still.
Let's have a check-in.
Why don't they have a book for that? The Tempur-Pedic attack has now been thwarted, thankfully.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to return my current mattress. It has not been picked up yet, and I have I'm now getting a new Tempur-Pedic mattress that's more basic, like a medium hybrid that's less expensive, like a $2,000 less expensive. So I'm hoping that does the trick. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to begin sifting through the hundreds of DMs I got from besties recommending different mattresses. All the DMs almost made it more difficult to make the decision because everyone's like, try this mattress. This is the best mattress. Try this mattress. This is the best. And like, I trust all of you. I trust all of you that you think that that's the best mattress. And I believe you. But I just don't know which one of those is me.
Everyone's so emphatic.
So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, I envy these people because all these besties who have found their mattress. I believe it's like if I was single and I saw people getting married and I'd envy them.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah,
I watched you get married
for finding a wife.
Yes, we all did.
I envy the people who found a mattress that's going to last them for at least 10 years. Your
wedding was triggering for many people, especially one girl who had just gotten into a fake fight with her boyfriend and was sitting in the row 3 that I didn't know was a fight. Did I tell you guys this?
Are you talking about yourself?
No.
You told us myself on girls chat.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
this is incredible.
This is fucking insane. Well, I told Brian later, so everyone here knows about it, but the listener doesn't.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I'm headed to Brian's wedding with my boyfriend Chris, and we are walking to the wedding, and so we're getting ready in our little cabin. And it's kind of frantic to get ready because we stayed in the hot tub too long and I'm blow drying my hair and I have to like steam my dress. That is like, it's just, there's a lot to do. And Chris is like slowly getting ready. And every time I turn around from blow drying my hair, he looks like cuter and cuter. And I keep commenting on it. I'm like, you look so handsome. And he's not really giving it back, but that's fine because he's distracted with his thing. And I don't look cute yet. Like, I'll say one thing about Chris Convey. He will not give me compliments unless it's real. Like, just because I say he looks cute, he's not going to say it back. So I get the truth from him. And well, okay. I actually appreciate it because if he just said it all the time, I'd be like, oh, yeah. But when he says it, it really means a lot to me. And he says it a lot. Let me just make that very clear. He's very into the way I look and I feel it all the time. But I was feeling a little insecure this day, probably. I hadn't spray tanned in a while. I was on my period, I believe. And I finally get dressed and I put on my, like, these boots and I'm like, ugh. And we start walking, we exit the cabin right outside in the front steps. And there's hail everywhere because it's just hailed like fucking crazy. The ground is white. It looks like it's just all like flower petals everywhere. And I say, you look so cute. And he's stuffing his face with a donut because he's just trying to like quickly like finish eating donuts before we go to the ceremony. He's like, a snack, like, donuts, and he's eating them. And I go,
is it the powdered ones? Is it the chocolate ones? It was the
chocolate. I had bought, I think they were chocolate because I bought them for him at the gas station, even though he was like, please stop buying these for me because I can't stop eating them and I don't want them. But I always get them because my boyfriend kind of forgets to eat a lot. So I had these donuts. He ate them. And I said to him, and as it's leaving my mouth, I realize, don't do this. Do you ever have that where you like are talking
my
and
God.
as it's coming out, you're like, I shouldn't even finish the sentence, but it's feeling really good. And I know it's wrong. Like it was, it's like
It's
word vomit is
possession.
what they say. Yeah. What'd you say,
Yes.
Noah?
Okay, I call it being possessed. Like it's not me in there.
Yes.
I'm possessed by a demon.
That's how it felt. And I said,
Yeah, it's like instant
are you going to say,
regret.
I look cute? Are you going to say, I look cute? I hated myself instantly for it. So once I realized, now having looked back on this moment, let me just kind of tell you what was going through my head. In that moment, I was so embarrassed of what I had just said, like asking him, because I know that whatever he gives me is not going to feel good because I've just asked for it. So I've just already defeated the purpose of what I want. I know he's going to feel annoyed that I asked. So I'm embarrassed. I just know that it was the wrong thing to say. And I'm so humiliated I said it, right? So desperate, not setting the right tone. And so my mind is in a position of picturing whatever comes out of his mouth is going to be really fucking mad at me and annoyed, because guess who's mad at me and annoyed? I am. So I now am looking, my world view has shifted to whatever he's going to do. He's pissed. There's no other way to interpret it. He could have smiled and been like, laughed, and I would have been like, he's mad. Because that's just so how I felt about myself. And I realize that now. So what he decided to do in the moment was have an exaggerated, like mad response, like almost like a fake husband screaming at his wife, like a joke. So he stuffed the donut in his mouth and it was like, I tell you, you look fucking great all the time. And it's like Bill Burr flying out of his mouth, like so exaggerated. It was insane, right? So he stuffs it in his mouth and he said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I know it had the word fuck in it, which he never cusses at me. Like that's an insane, he's never yelled at me. Like Chris doesn't yell at me. Like there's no verbal abuse happening in our relationship at all over 10 years. And, emotional once no but that was
Light
early
dusting.
on from both of us. Light dusting in the beginning of our relationship on both sides emotionally, but
And now the
verbally
dusting is coming from the donuts.
the powdered donut.
Yes.
Which not powder but
Yes.
chocolate, but let's imagine it's
yes.
spewing out in a comic fashion. It like almost hits me in the face, and he's also cussing. And from my interpretation, this is just my boyfriend has now turned into a monster. Like I women talk about like this moment where they get married and suddenly their boyfriend starts hitting them, or their husband is now like it comes out of nowhere, where they just, you've heard
Chris
these
had
stories
yellow,
before.
translucent skin and
Yes.
black flowing
Mary
hair. And you could
Shelley's.
see his arteries.
Christenstein. And so I was like, oh
Frank and
my
County.
God, this is it. Like he's changed. Like there's maybe this weekend he got really comfortable with me never leaving him or something. Maybe I said something that gave him this like reassurance that now he can abuse me this way. And I was shook. Like I didn't say anything. I just was like, because he screamed, and then the donut is spewing from his face in a very comedic fashion, and I am like,
But you're not
relate.
seeing it as that.
What?
You're not seeing it as comedic.
I was almost, because I was like, it was so ridiculous, but I'm not laughing. No, but I'm also like, that was so unlike him to like talk with his mouth open it and then scream, which he's never done, and cuss. All things that I'm just like, okay, well, this relationship's literally over. I will not be with someone who talks to me this way. And now I have to go to Brian's wedding and sit next to this person. And I'm not going to make this about me and like start crying in the bathroom or break up with my boyfriend at my friend's wedding. So I go to the wedding and we walk to it, and I say, he then swallows the donut that is in his mouth, and he goes,
Finally.
he goes, seriously, Nikki, and now it's like calmed down to like his normal tone. And he goes, do you think I've gone 3 hours in our whole relationship without telling you how good you look? And I go, and I just quietly was like, I'm sorry. No, you're right. And I was just like abused woman, quiet, like, but he didn't notice, because he's like, we're trying to get to the wedding. He didn't notice that I'm like shell-shocked woman tone, right? I'm thinking that I hate him right now. I don't know who this person is. I want to get through this day and I want to leave. And it's a long road before we leave. We have a reception to sit through. I have to like smile and like, it's going to be hell. So
Oh my God.
I'm like,
I just
wait a
remember
second.
this.
spiraling.
You were like frozen. I think in the moment you were even like, it is so out of character. It almost was like he was doing a bit, but he wasn't.
Yes.
I mean, with a donut in your mouth?
Yes,
With
and the donut spewing
donut?
out,
That's
like
funny.
in a Homer Simpson way.
That
like
to me
it's
is funny.
cartoon. I
It's
said
hilarious.
cartoonish.
Yes.
And
Yes.
by the way,
Like
I
I mean,
Chris voice
sometimes I
note.
do that with Allie.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll do something like that where
But
we'll just
when
pretend
she-
like we're in an abusive relationship and yell
Me
at
and
each
Chris
other,
have
and
done
it's
it
funny.
before. Yes, Chris and I have done it
Yeah.
before. We do it in a New York accent, though, usually like a Jersey accent of like, why would you fucking do this, Johnny? Like, I do that kind of thing. I am at your wedding spiraling and like crying because I see
no.
what true love looks like, and it's not what I have, clearly. I thought I did. But now this boyfriend, I'm like, I will never unsee what he just did to me. There's literally nothing that will ever excuse it. You know when you have those moments where you go, nothing could, there's no thing he could say that will ever make me look at him the same way again. Until I finally, days later,
Oh my God.
so
can't believe
I
you
tucked
lived
it
with this.
away and I was like, I'll just have to bring it up when we go to couples therapy, right? Like I can't, this is not something I'm going to be able to talk about on our own because he didn't even seem to really notice it because usually, let me just also say this. If Chris and I get into an argument, which is usually it had never involved screaming or yelling, we're weird for a while. Like it's just not comfortable with us. We don't touch each other. We're not like, we can't really fake it around people. We used to be able to. We don't anymore. Like we more stick to like what's going on. We'll literally say to people we go to dinner with, we're like not doing well right now. Like we've said that before because we don't fake it if things aren't good, which is good. But the whole reception, everything's fine with this guy. He's touching my leg. He's putting his arm around me. This makes me think even more, he's fucking crazy. Like he just did something, he snapped, and now he's even going off book for our fight mode. You know, like he's now this guy that can like yell at his wife and then just act like everything's okay. Like this guy has lost it, you know? Maybe elevation sickness. I don't know what's going on. So he's really nice the whole night. We have a good time dancing. I kind of put it out of my head. I try to have a good time dancing and having a good time at the reception. But in the back of my head, I'm like, my relationship's over. This kind of sucks. This is the last night of this because I have to like it. It's not over, but it's like this is going to take so long to repair the damage that was done tonight. So 2 days later, we're walking into a restaurant and we're actually like arm in arm. And he's like, so I'm like starting to pack up my stuff to move in. And I go, okay. And he's like, so we're doing this, right? Like you want me to move in, right? And I go, there's one thing I need to bring up before you move in. And he's like, okay. And we're walking into the restaurant when we're approaching the hostess stand. And I go, when you yelled at me in Colorado on the way to Brian's wedding, I don't know who that was. And I still can't get over it. And he goes, what? I didn't yell at you. And I just stopped on a dime and I go, we're not doing this. And I go, we're going back outside because I'm going to start yelling. If you try to tell me that wasn't yelling at me, like I thought at least he would know exactly what I was talking about, right? Like he screamed at me and donut flew out his face. So I go, oh, I'm being gaslit and you're going to tell me that wasn't yelling at me? I literally go, I looked at the hostess and I go, we'll be right back. And I took him and I swung him around because we're locked in arms and we went back outside and I go, you yelled at me at Brian's wedding. Now I'm yelling, right? And he's like, what? Right. And I go, donut was spewing out of your face. And he goes, that was a joke. And I go, what? He's like, that was a joke. I would never talk to you that way. Like I was doing like our Dolores bit where I go, Dolores, why'd you park? And I go, that's our Jersey couple bit that we haven't done in a while. But I'm like, what?
But he didn't say Dolores.
No. And like, here's the truth. I think he was annoyed at my thing, which is 100% valid because I was annoyed at it. And I think it was a way to communicate an annoyance without committing to it really and doing a character. Mm-hmm. I don't think he did not mean to scold me or hurt me the way he did at all because that's just not in him. But it was, do you ever have that moment where you go, there's no way I'll ever forgive this person? And then they come up with the thing that is the only way you'd forgive them. It was like someone took off a gigantic mountain backpack, like one of the ones that goes down to your like half down your legs, like when you're climbing Everest.
Sure.
Like
backpacking back.
Yeah, one of those. Because I was like, I put it out of my head for a little bit because when things like that happen to me that are traumatic, either good or bad, sometimes when I meet a famous person, I forget about it. This is a new thing that's happening to me too, where I have excitement and amnesia and I forget meeting people or having like run-ins with celebrities that mean a lot to me. And then I'll meet them again and say, oh, nice to meet you. And they go, I met you. I did it with Larry David. I think I talked about it on the show, but it's happened a couple times since then with people. But I also have amnesia for really like awful things like that. And I'll put it away until it's ready. And so I had tucked it away, but man, I almost like cried. I was like, that was a joke. I was like, first of all, don't let jokes go until I laugh at them. Like, make sure I know it's a joke. And it's so annoying because I'm a comedian and Chris is really funny. And this happens to us a lot where he will make jokes and I won't know he's joking. And it's a thing that happens to me as a comedian that, first of all, I can't take jokes like other people in terms of like, if you make fun of me, I will take it. I'm very, very sensitive, but I dole it out all the time. So there's this like, obviously, hypocritical thing about me in that way. And I also don't understand jokes. I don't think people are making jokes constantly. Like for me, there's a place for jokes. And I don't.
Yes.
Brian did it to me yesterday. He had me going for like 2 minutes about a joke that everyone in the room got except me.
What was it?
I kept exaggerating it, just waiting for you to laugh.
So this is not just Chris that has dealt with this. Like, I think it was as obvious as that, Brian, what Chris had done. And that to me was not obvious at all. Like, I almost felt a little autistic because nothing about that was different from the way you normally talk, or I just couldn't tell the difference. So tell them what happened.
To be fair, I do have a very dry delivery, and I frequently get that, like, I didn't realize you were joking. So it's not just you, but was this the Barbie thing?
Okay, thank God.
That you're talking about?
Yes.
The Barbie thing. So our other friend hasn't seen the Barbie movie yet, and she was saying that I don't want to go see it because I'm definitely going to be let down because everyone's talking it up so much and saying how good it is and how fun it is. And then Nikki was like, it is good, it is fun. And she's like, well, now I'm going to be disappointed no matter what. So then I go, well, I actually have several groups of friends who said it was the worst movie they've ever seen. They said it was too woke and too preachy, and it made them physically ill to sit through the movie. And then Nikki was like, what? What the fuck? Who are these people? And I'm like, yes, several of them got up and walked out in the middle of the film and asked for their money back. And then she's like, what? Who are these people? They went into the alley and started spontaneously vomiting because they were so disturbed.
A couple of them said they would rather eat shit than watch Barbie ever again.
My one friend said, I would rather take a shit in my hand and eat it than watch one more second of the Barbie movie.
Is this a friend I know of yours? Because I know a lot. Brian and I have a lot of friends in common. So I go, if this was Rob Stern, this sucks because I love Rob Stern and I cannot be friends with someone who talked this way about the Barbie movie. Like, they sound insane. And so Brian was going on and everyone in the room, there was 2 other girls in the room. They knew he was joking, and they often don't know he's joking. They don't know Brian as well as I do. And so a lot of times I'm the one that's like, he's joking. But this time I was just... This is the same mood I was in that time that happened with Chris. Like, I just miss the joke, and I wish I could go back because that night was kind of stolen from me. So you need to get remarried so I can. But I will say that there was this moment of like thinking my relationship was over, and then watching yours, and I go, well, that's what I want. You know, like it gave me like, it was almost like a good timing of it where it was like, okay, don't give up. And your whole vows were about like finding Allie when you had kind of given up. And so I was already like thinking of like, I have to start over now. I have to put myself back out there and hope I found someone that's more compatible for me, that doesn't yell at me 10 years into our relationship one time. And thank God it was a joke. And Chris was horrified that I didn't get it. Like, he felt really misunderstood, which is another thing in our relationship that comes up is that I think probably, yeah, because he just realized this whole night his girlfriend was like thinking that you were breaking up. Like, he felt like he looked at the whole weekend and was having that like flashback of like, well, that wasn't real. You weren't happy then. The truth was, no, I was in turmoil, you know? And and so I think he was
figuring
processing
out how to
it,
get out of my apartment.
And I was thinking about the summer rolls that we were about to eat. And I was like, okay, so now I know you were joking. Now just say, I'm sorry you felt that way, which is my big thing. It's like, if you don't mean to hurt someone's feelings, it doesn't matter if you meant to or not. You know I don't believe in free will. Brian certainly does, because yesterday we argued about it for literally an hour and a half in front of these two girls that we're talking about, and they honestly could file like workman's comp for the torture of listening to us debate. They didn't say a word the whole time. It was, I wish this debate was like for we could like put it out there for like a bonus pod.
I was debating just for the sake of. I understand you were getting frustrated. You said you were getting frustrated. I was debating for almost like the joy of the debate.
Me too.
Just to have the philosophical
That's why I liked
debate.
it, because I felt like afterwards, because it got a little screamy, but in a way that's like the way I scream, which is like, no, Brian, like you don't see, like it wasn't like I was mad at you. There were times I was a little mad because I just felt like, why can't you get this? You're smart, but it's because that's my fault. I didn't explain it right. But because there is no there's no argument. There is no free will. There's like no, and that's my other thing is like I know I'm right. Well, it is true. It's like veganism. The two things I feel right about are veganism and no free will. Other than that, I'm pretty much wrong about everything, and including wanting to not be a mother. So, but I will say that afterwards, I felt closer to you. Like now I feel like that is how that is really how I bond with people, because I felt like as we were arguing and it was going on for literally 90 minutes, you guys, nonstop, one subject in one room, 90 minutes probably. Wouldn't you say, Brian?
Yeah, no, it was 90 minutes.
It was crazy. So I felt during it at some points, this might be bad for us, because I've heard before that I come on really strong and that this can push people away. But because you were engaged the whole time and didn't seem to give up, I go, let's just keep going. Let's I don't know. I'm not ready to give up. And so, but by the end of it, I was like, I have no animosity towards him. I'm not carrying this around like, God, why doesn't he get it? We did not agree on we agreed on a couple points, but like most points did not agree. I do not feel satisfied that I did a good job in the debate, because we walked away feeling the same way. Nothing was accomplished in that way. But, and two people were very annoyed to the point where they like never want to be around me again.
So neither of you walked away from that thinking you learned something?
I'm right.
Like neither of you are like, okay, she had a good point. He had a good point.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Brian?
What I walked away from,
we found some common ground, and we were trying to search for the thing that we agree on, and mostly we were trying to search for what is the fundamental thing we disagree on, because we don't even know really what that is. That's what I was searching for. Yeah.
And he kept saying, what really upset me was like, but this doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And I go, oh, so you don't care about you thing you've argued for 90 minutes? So you just wasted my fucking time. Like I didn't say fuck, but maybe I did. And but I will say,
you fucking fuck, and donut flew out of your mouth.
Vegan donut. I will say though that I do think that debating makes me feel closer to people. Like I really like. And it doesn't mean that we have to agree at the end. It doesn't mean like fighting, and it wasn't fighting. And I sound like my parents right now, because my whole entire childhood, I would say, stop fighting. And they'd go, we are arguing. We are not fighting. You know, like that was always my first stand-up joke I ever wrote was in like 5th grade, because my parents would say, we're not fighting. I at least thought of it. I didn't think of it like this is a stand-up joke, but it was my first thing that I look back on and I go, oh, that was kind of a bit. Was my parents used to say, we're not fighting, we're having a discussion. And in my head, I was like, well, when we have discussions in my 4th class about, where the red fern grows, Mrs. Stifler doesn't throw a chair and scream, fuck you, EJ, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, they always would say they discuss things. And I'm like, well, I think you're screaming at each other and nothing's getting resolved. So I do come from a family of screamers and debaters. But I liked it.
I just wanted to I just wanted to share something, because I relate to you in the way that in my previous relationships, I used to bond with my partner through arguing. And in my household, that's how we used to show emotions towards each other. It was like through argument, and there was never a resolution. But in this current relationship, we can't bond over arguing. We bond over the discussion that we have after. So now what we do is, if we have a fight, we're not allowed to hug at the end. And that's like for my request, because I don't want negative reinforcement.
Right.
Like I don't want to receive the affection, because my love language is physical touch after we have a blow up argument
fight.
Because then my brain is like, ooh, arguing equals hugging and kissing.
That's interesting.
Well, what if it's the hugging and kissing after the resolution? Like, can it be like we're fighting and then we discuss and then there's a hug?
No, we have to walk away from it, and then we can hug it out
That's smart, Noah.
later.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, good job
It's like-
for
it's
figuring
what I
that
have to do
out.
to
That's
rewire.
like some good stuff that you
No,
have
Noah
that tool
is
now.
like really in tune with stuff. That's so smart. I will say that I'd never feel closer to someone debating romantically. Like I feel much closer to Brian.
No.
Like he is someone that can like really hang with me in terms of, because I like debating and I don't think a lot of my girlfriends do. And I think it's a masculine trait that I have. And it's nice to be able to do that with a friend and not have any ill will afterwards. I mean, it could be, I mean, maybe you had some, I don't want to mean to speak for both of us, but I felt like none afterwards. I felt like almost cathartic and like, oh, we just had like a bonding sesh. And
yeah,
my
I mean, you have to.
relationship,
We
yeah.
agreed on the ground rules of what we were doing intrinsically, tacitly, without discussing
Yes.
it, which is that this is a debate for fun, and if at any point one of us is truly feeling upset or attacked, then it needs to end. But that never happened. And
Yeah.
that's what you got to go into debates like that. It was like, for some people do, like there is debate club, in school and
wish I
stuff.
would've
Like some
done
people
it.
do debate as a hobby.
You'd probably be good
It's
at
fun.
it. I have family
I
members
really think I
that
wanna
love
do it.
that feel intimacy after fighting. I don't mind a debate, but I do not like an insult in the like. I'm good up until if there's any implication that I'm a fool or dumb or any criticism of me, I'm out. I'm just like, I'm done. Like I was in a debate with I'm in this group and we talk about race issues and I disagreed about something someone was saying and they were like, I'm really disappointed in you. That's like such a
I said that to Brian so many times.
They call him a racist.
I kept saying to Brian, you're smarter than this. I was exactly using that. I'm sorry, Brian, if I made you feel stupid.
That's no. I mean that's
But
ad
that's not
hominem.
his
That's a
thing.
fallacy that you can't use during a debate. But like I think during our debate, what I really appreciated was that we were very self-aware during the debate, where like sometimes you would say like, I am feeling frustrated because I can't figure out the thing that can't get you to understand this. And then at one point I was like, the thing I want to do right now is attack Sam Harris personally, but I know that that's wrong. So it's kind of like there was also a self-awareness that was good.
And then he Googled Sam Harris and he goes,
EJ.
look at this guy. Look at this ugly guy. And he showed me a picture and I was like, that's not Sam Harris. He was looking at another picture of a guy and I
It
go,
wasn't
Sam
even
Harris
him.
is beautiful. And I go, you don't.
And then for
I go,
like half the
Brian,
argument, I thought-
don't start taking down Sam Harris. He's on the right side of things, man. And he's like, he's saying that molesters should just be able to molest because they can't help their brains. I go, he is not saying that. I said that, and I'm not really saying. It was like, but it wasn't that heated. It was I had a blasteroonie doing it, and I do think I
Yeah.
need to get into an adult debate club because of it. I don't
Adult
know
debate
the
club.
rules of debate, and so I should maybe explore that a little bit. But as we're talking about things that I wish were a bonus episode, I want to draw attention to something that is becoming a special thing for besties to do. If you want to get our podcast ad free, and if you want to get an extra bonus episode every month of the show, which is entitled Intrusive Thoughts, where we kind of say our most insane things. That's going to be a separate secret episode called Intrusive Thoughts. You're going to want to sign up for Big Money Players. That's the network of our podcast in the iHeart thing. Big Money Players is Will Ferrell's podcast network. They have a new thing called the Diamond Players. Is that correct, Noah?
Yep.
If you want to become a Diamond Player, you pay a little extra a month. It's through Apple Podcasts, so you have to listen to your podcast through the Apple Podcast app. And then you go to our show, you search our show, and then there will be a button for you to subscribe to become a Diamond Player, which means you will get all of our episodes every week, twice a week, with no ads, which is the best. We can all agree. And then you also get a free bonus episode every month. So for a little extra dough a month, check
And you
that
get-
out. We would love for you to become a Diamond member. And you get what?
And you also get all the other shows on the network ad free.
Oh, that's right. Don't
Lots of
even forget
perks.
about Las Culturistas, which is an amazingly award-winning podcast. There's also Eric Andre's new podcast called I Bombed, about like two comedians talking about all the times they bombed on stage.
Oh, wow.
There's Poog, which is a hilarious wellness podcast hosted by Kate Berlant and Jacqueline Novak. That's like, it's Goop backwards, POOG. There's tons of hilarious podcasts in that network. So if you're ever looking for a new comedy podcast, go straight to Big Money Players because they endorse us. And so they have good taste and you can just search in there and you'll find great podcasts. So become a Diamond player, go to our podcast in the Apple Podcast app, which is where I listen to all my podcasts, and subscribe there on our show page. Just search our show and become a Diamond player. Get free, no ad podcasts and a special bonus episode every month.
Well, can we describe what the bonus episode is?
Yeah, it's going to be called Intrusive Thoughts, and it's going to be us sharing things that we're kind of ashamed that we think, right?
Yeah, more or less, or things that we're afraid to say on the main podcast because they're a little bit like, I don't know if I should be thinking this. This thought just popped. Yeah,
you want a paywall behind it.
You need a paywall behind it.
That's the way I'm going to treat it too. When we do that podcast, I'm going to tell stories that I would never tell on the main feed because they're a little too spicy, or I don't want certain people to hear them, and I know certain people won't pay for this, so I know who it will not keep out. So if you want to be a true insider of the Nikki Glaser podcast, go subscribe today. We'll be right back with more show. All right, we're back. So I had a couple.
Can you save me a conversation or two and just tell, because I know that Allie listens to this. Allie's mom listens to this. Can you just explain that you had a good time at the wedding so that when they're listening to this, they're not going. I mean, you did have a good time. You enjoyed the wedding.
No,
is this true?
I loved the wedding. I want to be very clear that despite what was going on in my brain, I had an amazing time at the wedding. First of all, the food was the greatest wedding food I've ever had in my life. I got double plates because there was vegan plates made especially for me. And then I had the waitress go get me more. I had so many Brussels sprouts. The music was amazing. The dancing was amazing. The company was amazing. The table settings were amazing. There was they love national parks, Allie and Brian. And so all the place sittings at the tables had these like coasters that had national parks on them. And ours said St. Louis Gateway Arch because it's a national park. And that was our table. And we were sitting with Adam Conover and his girlfriend, Lisa. Partner, Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa Hannah Walt.
Hannah Walt, who is the animator for many things, including BoJack Horseman. And
she created Tuca and Birdie.
And Tuca and Birdie, starring Ali Wong, who is able to, juggle it all. And then, and it was like, I really did put my emotion, like I was not hijacked that whole night by my thought process. There was times where I went to the bathroom and had a little bit of a moment where I would like kind of just process what had happened. But when I stepped back in that room, you couldn't help but forget your worries and just have a great time singing and dancing along to music and celebrating Brian and Allie, when I think back on your wedding, I'm not thinking about how I was thinking about the end of my relationship. That's why I hadn't even told it on the podcast yet, because it's not the first thing I think about when I think about your wedding at all. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It totally matched by Anya's wedding 2 weeks later. I had the best wedding experience this summer ever. Great weddings and by the way, great food at Anya's wedding too. Can I just tell you what I discovered at Anya's wedding that I didn't know was delicious? Grilled romaine.
Oh, I didn't get to that.
Fuck
what was it?
Are you fucking kidding me?
What was in it? I would
never think putting olive oil and some salt and probably garlic on romaine lettuce and then roasting it or whatever the fuck they did, grilling it. It was so, you would think like, well, that's not going to be good. It looked like soggy lettuce. No offense. That's what it looked like. It was, I went back, I ate probably half the dish. It was so fucking good.
That's awesome.
It was so
Everything
good.
was vegan. I didn't know. I thought they were going to do like some vegan stuff, but I found out later.
No, the skewers were amazing.
What about the crab cakes?
Oh yeah, I didn't know those weren't crab. Those were not crab.
What?
But, yeah,
I didn't eat them.
That was vegan?
Yeah, that was vegan. It was like palm hearts. I don't know how they get crab cakes
palm
so
hearts
good now.
Is so good. Speaking like I have this calamari that I get at Crossroads in Los Angeles, which is a vegan place, and they do hearts of palm fried.
We had that.
You had that with me, Anya. Weren't they so fucking good?
My mouth is watering right now.
Me too.
Tartar sauce. It's so good. And that place on tour that was like vegan, all vegan sushi. What is it called? Planta. Oh my God. They made us crab cakes on the road.
So good.
It was insane.
Can I ask you guys a question? What you guys think? I am getting a food truck for a giant number of people this Friday, I think. And let's just assume most of these people aren't vegan. I am buying it though. And I'm not trying to force my ways on anyone else. Like I don't want to force people to be vegan if they don't like it. But I'm going to get a food truck. If I were to do a vegan food truck, it would be one that like makes stuff that like everyone agrees is fucking dope. Do you think that's too like, this girl, like I'm giving a gift, but I'm like, I want you to have it the way I want it. Or should I just get like meat and cheese, normal food? Because I don't care that people like that stuff.
I didn't even know the crab cakes were not real.
This is an exact dilemma I had. And then I just concluded, you know what? Like I'm not vegan, but a few of my good friends are. The person marrying us is. And then Matt was like, babe.
Vegan options you thought the crab cakes were not real.
Yeah, like the cakes
so
weren't
you thought
vegan.
that you had options for people that weren't vegan, and you did have.
But I was still like, should we have chicken? And Matt's like, babe, people can do without meat for one meal of their lives, which is 100% true.
That's what I'm saying. But I just don't want anyone to go, God, we have to eat this vegan shit.
Food.
But you know what? If they think that, they're
LA. Half the people are vegan anyway.
And people love free food. I'm telling you,
is there
as
not
a production
some
worker,
truck that can do both? Like, can't something do vegan?
I don't
options?
want to. I'm kind of like, you know what?
Yeah,
I think that people that don't like vegan food are and I would get a place that actually is doing it right, that isn't making it like vegan, like gross vegan-y. You know what I mean? Like, I know the difference. I like it all,
truck,
but I know the difference. Vegan. Yeah, really I asked a girl that's helping me to look into it, but I was kind of so that you just confirmed what I already thought I was going to do, which is the right thing. And maybe someone will go, you know what? I can't even tell the difference. And like I saw when I did Beat Bobby Flay, my proudest moment was when a guy made a vegan cheese. Yeah. On Beat Bobby Flay, a guy I was vegan, so the whole episode had to be vegan, and everyone seemed to be very like, whoa. I guess. And one of the judges was like this, like New York, like I like pepperoni and I'm like a pizza New York guy. And they were making Philly cheesesteaks vegan, which is like a very hard thing to make vegan. In fact, the most disgusting vegan thing I've ever had was a Philly cheesesteak in Philly that was vegan. It was, I've never had anything disgusting vegan, and it makes my stomach churn thinking about it. Because my friend, this guy that I was like kind of interested in dating, I ordered from a vegan place, and he was trying to be like, he liked me, so he was like, I'll get something vegan too. I don't even eat vegan, but I'll do it. So he ordered the vegan cheesesteak, and I was like, ew, I wouldn't get that. That seems gross, but okay. And he was like, no, I think I'd be good. I'm vegan. I can swing with this. And then he got it and offered me a bite, and I was like, that is disgusting. And I lost respect for him because he was kind of pretending to like it. And I was like, ew, he's just doing that for me, and it is gross. So anyway, they made these amazing vegan Philly cheesesteaks because they're amazing chefs, Bobby, and then the other chef he was going against. And then the cool New Yorker, like, I don't know about this. He was Asian, by the way. I'm not even joking you. He was, but he was still kind of like a little bit New York, like cool.
Oh,
and,
yeah, I mean.
He was like Italian Asian. I don't know how to describe it, but
I've got plenty of friends like that who are Italian Asian. Yes.
Are you? Is this another moment of you being fake?
They're growing up in the alley.
I grew up in New York, and I have friends who talk like they are from Brooklyn, and they're Asian. I mean, that's not unusual.
Okay, so
wait, was it Michael Voltaggio?
No, it was one of the judges. So Michael Voltaggio was the other celebrity,
he's so
person
handsome.
that was hosting it with me, and then it was one of the judges. He was Asian, but he bit into this Philly cheesesteak, and he was like, oh God, this is as good as anything I've ever had. And he was I knew he was coming into it being like, what's this going to be? And it was so awesome to see him go, this is as good as any meat product I've ever had. It was so nice. Yeah. And by the way, there's a new,
hey, guess what?
I don't know.
If you want to watch the Glaser episode of Beat Bobby Flay, the next one will be September 21st at 6:30 p.m., 5:30 Central Time.
Sweet.
On the Food Network.
It's a really good episode.
2 more airings that.
Oh, wow. And if you guys also want to watch F-Boy Island, I should do a plug for that. It is coming out on the CW October 12th. I'm very excited. Yes, Thursday, October 12th.
Is that the former season?
No, this
Or
is
new season?
season 3, new season.
Oh,
Just
wow.
shot recently.
Hey.
Very, very exciting. So much drama, so much comedy. The funniest season by far.
Can you tease any boys, or do we know any of the boys?
I can't tease any of the boys. You may
Some
or
of
may
them I
not
think are
know
on
people.
Instagram.
If you've watched,
Okay.
if you've never watched F Boy before, it doesn't matter. You can jump in the season. You don't need any prior knowledge. Okay, so that's the good news. And the other good news is it's on the CW. So this isn't. You don't have to download a streamer. This is going to go straight to what's that guy? Oh, that's Pierce.
Pierce?
Yeah, so F Boy Island on
Is he a
Instagram,
nudie?
you can go there and you can see they put up some of the guys' profiles. And Pierce, we made fun of a lot that he looks like me. We have the same style, and he does resemble me, and that is flattering to me because he is a gorgeous man. And without makeup, I definitely look like Pierce. Maybe with makeup, I look more like Pierce. He's gorgeous. And so you'll see some guys on the F Boy Island Instagram. You can follow it there and follow along. But it is a insane season, and it's really going to feel like The Bachelor, Bachelorette in the past in terms of like you have to wait a week to get the next episode. So it's going to build momentum. It's going to build suspense, and you can watch it. And so can your parents, because you know your parents don't know how to work their fucking tubies or whatever. So it's just is on normal cable. So look up CW, whatever number it is on your dial, and watch it live on Thursdays starting October 12th on the CW. Set your DVRs now. It really mean a lot to me. Let me just say that the way ratings are right now, you guys, if 20 of you DVR this right now and watch it, never in the history of television, in the 60 70 years it's been around, 80 years, I don't know how long, your little view of something really didn't matter, because shows used to get like 6 million viewers because there were 3 networks, right? And then we go to the 90s and it was still like a big, everyone was watching cable and TV. So you were just one of millions, and you didn't really matter if you skipped out something, your rating didn't help. I'm not kidding you. 60 of you watching the show could make me get another season of this. It actually, your vote matters more than ever. I'm not saying people with Nielsen boxes watch it. I'm just saying anyone watch it. I know that would make me feel special if I was a viewer, like, because I know in the past when people have been like, watch my thing, I'm like, does it really fucking matter? This actually does, because no one watches anything anymore. And everything is too saturated.
Watch it.
Yes,
but if you
TV,
don't have TV, what if you only have streamers? Then
CW.com, and you can download the
Okay.
CW app and stream it every week.
Perfect.
For sure.
Or get
I'm
an
trying
antenna.
to find out if the CW is on Hulu, because
Yeah.
it should be.
I think it's
but
on
it might be
Hulu
one of those-
Live.
It might
Okay.
be. Okay, yeah. So,
I should know
currently
that.
F Boy Island is on Hulu, but you can only
Great.
watch season 2. So I don't think you can watch CW live on Hulu. At
But
least that's
it'll
it's
probably
not
be the
showing up
next
on my
day.
Hulu.
So Hulu,
The next day,
you could
yeah, it
probably
shows up.
watch F Boy 3.
yes.
And make a
Yes.
difference. We will.
It's so fun. It's so funny. There are things this season that I just couldn't believe they let me say and do, and I'm just so fucking excited about it. So please check that out. I wanted to talk about the other night. I was on a show. I don't want to name names because I don't want people to figure out who I'm talking about, but I do want you to probably guess. I want people to try to figure it out, but I want to make it so it's like leaves reasonable doubt, because I don't want to give any specifics. But I was on a show with some heavy hitters, right? It's a pretty good show. And then the person that went on after me ran the light quite a bit. Now, I'm talking to a comedian here. Brian's here. Anya, you're very familiar with how times work and how shows run. You're a performer yourself. What do you think is acceptable to run the light? If you think you're pretty hot shit, what do you think is acceptable amount of time to run the light?
mean?
Running
for
the
the
light
ladies.
means, okay, so if you're doing a 15
many-
minute set, which these are 15-minute sets, and there's 5 people on the show, let's say, or 6. If you're doing a 15-minute set, you usually get the light. The person asks you, the light guy goes, when do you want the light? I always say 2 minutes. That means a 2-minute light, meaning I have 2 minutes before it's 15 minutes. So I get a light at 13 minutes. This person definitely got asked, when do you want the light? Definitely saw the light, because he's not a fucking idiot. And he's performed at this place before. God, I gave him a gender. I was going to keep it not gender neutral. Or maybe I changed the gender. You don't know. I work in very mysterious ways. So this person definitely knew where the light was coming from, is not a stranger
I
to
know
this
who it is.
room.
I know who it is.
and ran the light. And I just want to ask you guys what you think. And by the way, I've run the light before. I'm not immune to it because sometimes you get the light and you're like, fuck, either you close at 10 seconds to go and you're right on schedule, but your joke sucks. So you go, let me just fit in one more joke. And sometimes that joke is 2 minutes long because you just have to scramble and pick one. You go, fuck, I picked a 2 minute long joke. So sometimes you run the light 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I start looking at my watch at 3. I start getting angry at 4. What do you think is a time where you go, who the fuck do you think you are time? Because that's the time this person reached, and I'm pissed about it. And am I going to confront this person? Yeah, fucking no, I won't. No, at 4 is when I start looking and I start getting ready to text the sound guy.
I think at 5 minutes, it's worthy of being like, you're making a mistake. But if the person does 10 to 15 minutes over the light, which is double the set, then that's fuck you. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Double the set. Okay, so at 30 minutes, you think that's who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah, like I would if they went 5 minutes over, I'd be like, bro, but I wouldn't be like, fuck you. So 5 minutes over, like that's pretty rude, but I'm not going to say fuck you to your face. But if they doubled their set 15 minutes, which means what that means is there is going to be a lesser known comedian who will not get to go up because
How
you
about
doubled
this,
your
Brian?
set.
There isn't going to be a lesser known comedian that gets to go up less time. There's going to be better known comedians who are ahead of you on the show who you need to be a little reverential to, if you ask me, and not act like such a fucking big shot just because you're making more money than us right now.
Ooh, like, who is it?
Oh my God.
It's easy to figure out. But this person ran the light 11 minutes. And do you want to know why I know exactly 11 minutes? Because I texted the sound guy to say, I wrote to the sound guy because the person that was going on after him, I was next to, and I go, this is unacceptable. And he's like, yeah. We started making fun of this guy being like, he goes, I think he thought the light was begin your set. Like he thought he goes, oh, he got a 15-minute light or whatever. He's making fun of him. So he's like, but then he starts getting annoyed because it's like, it's just, this person wanted to go home. The person the comic that was going after.
Did people give him a follow-up light? Like one of those? Like, come on, the light's
just
light.
on. You flick it on and it's just on.
Oh.
It's the back of the room. It's a red light and it's just on. So this person went 11 minutes over. And I texted the sound guy. The funniest part is I texted the sound guy and I go, I want to read the text exchange because it's really funny because he doesn't really know me that well, this sound guy. And he didn't know.
We know that they're missing the light. It's like sometimes the light goes on and you don't see it and you're like, oh my God, how long have I been up here for? And then you're like, I'm so sorry. That doesn't last 11 extra minutes though.
The infuriating thing is I bet no women do this. I bet it's all male comedians.
Women do this. There's women who do this. But I will say I haven't seen this. But the only time I've seen this happen is one time I was working with the Sklars in Canada. The Sklar brothers and John Doerr, who is a fucking dream of a person. John Doerr, D-O-R-E, one of the funniest people ever. His Conan with Rory Scovel is one of the best YouTube clips I ever show people. They do a duet on Conan that is like, Conan says, we accidentally booked 2 comedians tonight. Our booking that we fucked up and they're just going to perform together. And so they go out and do their sets at the same time. You can't understand either of them, but they have it choreographed perfectly. It's one of the funniest things ever. So anyway, John Doerr went 25 minutes over and the Sklars and I were like, what is going on? This is a 30-minute set and he's doing 45. And at the end of it, John really was like, I am so sorry, guys. I don't even know what I was thinking. Like you could tell he was shocked by it. Listen, I have gone over egregiously before. And egregiously, I mean 5-6 minutes, but it's because I'm last on the show or I know that the show is a late show, so it can run late. So I know that the person ahead of me can go late too. So this person, so I wrote to the sound guy, hey, do you have I go, please let me know how long he's been on just for my own curiosity. He goes, 20 so far. I thumbs up it. I said, I want him to keep going. This is unreal. And he goes, seriously. Because I was like, sometimes when they start running the light, I want them to go like I wanted him to double his time.
Set?
Now you want to see the world burn.
Yes. So this is 20, right? So now he's 5 over, which is to me, this is I told you at 4 minutes I start going, I want to text the sound guy. 5 minutes, I'm texting the sound guy, and I go, I want him to keep going. This is unreal. He goes, seriously. I said, and because he came to a point where he could finish. You know, there was the end of the joke. and he puts his leg up on the stool and he starts going at it again. And I go, and he's not done.
Sociopath.
And then the sound guy wrote back, killing. And I go, oh my God, the sound guy thinks I'm saying this is unreal. Like, I want him to keep going. Like, I love this bit. And I go, oh my God, I'm saying all this because I'm annoyed. Unreal as in, how do comics run the light like this? Especially in front of blank, the person he's going in front of, who is someone who deserves a lot of respect in this business. And then we kept talking shit. And that's a sound guy who I will not say the name of, but yeah. Should I confront this person? Because I feel like talking, I think I want to say something. This person would not look at me afterwards. We didn't talk to each other in the green room. So this person and I did not talk to each other after the show.
They were a drop-in.
I think he kind of gets the vibe. I don't care for him very much. And do you know who it is, Brian?
Yeah, you told me.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think you should confront this person. I think that it's pointless. It's like the deed is done. It was just a show, and in the grand scheme of things, that show means less than nothing to anybody. So maybe he'll keep running the light in the future. What I'm talking about,
no, he's going to keep doing it. And what I want to know is, why did you do that? Why did you need to work on that bit that was perfectly worked out? That's what I kind of want to ask him, is why did you do that? Because the answer is, I think I'm better than you. No, I went before him.
Oh, I see.
So it didn't affect me. This was not me being like.
Did the person afterwards give a shit?
Yeah. I mean, everyone couldn't believe it. And the person afterwards even wrote to me later on.
Did this person who ran the light know?
That he ran the light?
That people were annoyed?
No, but I'm sorry. He's been in the business long enough. You know the rule of the light. You don't do 11 minutes, which is, what percentage of 15 minutes is 11 minutes? An 80% of your set. You don't do a 180. You do 100% of your set.
Yeah.
He gave it 180%. I'll tell you that. When people say, I gave this 110%, he gave it 180%. This guy, it just, you know what I want to do? I just want to say, why? Why did you think that was okay?
Love if you did.
Maybe he was thinking that I'm crushing. This audience is loving me, and
they're here
it benefits the show for me to be up here longer because this is what the people want to see.
I would take that answer and I would say, you know what? If they were there for you, I could see how this would go. But how about you do the courtesy that Bill Burr did to me when he bumped me, and bumped, I'm saying that's usually is a negative connotation. He just got up before me and wasn't on the list. And he went over to me, which he did not need to do because he's Bill fucking Burr and he can do whatever he wants in my mind. But he went over, he found me and he said, do you mind if I go in front of you? And he asked. Unlike one other comedian that used to bump me all the time and never fucking ask, who thinks he's a hot shot because he was this guy back in the day. Now he's kind of fallen from grace. But you know what? This guy probably would have done this back in the day, even when he wasn't a big deal. But I don't care for it. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how much you think the audience is there for you. Have a little respect for the show, the run of show, for the wait staff who has to like deal with these patrons for longer and reset the room in an urgent way. And and also don't give, you know what I think he would say probably? That bit just took that long. And that's what me and my friend were laughing about, was like, we know what it's like to get in, you pick a bit to finish up with and you go, oh shit, this is a 7-minute bit, but I only have 2 minutes. You make edits because you're a professional and you know your own material and you know how to make cuts. If you don't know how to do that, go back to the open mics, bitch. You're not good enough. If you have to stick to your 7-minute bet exactly the way it is with your fucking dumb 30-second pauses that no one needs. So we all are waiting on bated breath, all of this like performative shit. I'm pissed. And it's really,
I've ended sets by saying, well, I can't finish the bit. I'm out of time. I guess you're going to have to see me some other time. Goodbye. And I would leave that way. That's happened before.
That's cool.
Like, especially if you're opening up for somebody, oh my God, I realize that I'm a couple of minutes over. There's no way I can finish this bit. And you're not here to see me. I'm out.
Or at least if you get carried away and you're like, God, I'm having so much fun out here and the crowd is loving it. And then, well, if you go over and everyone goes over, own it. Get off stage and be like, sorry, I went way over. I'm not going to do that
Apologize to everyone for 11 minutes.
Yeah.
But the key factor is that this was the early show. And so that's not just being rude to the comedians, it's being rude to the staff because they have a very short amount of time to turn around the room for the next show. And to extend that show by even 10 minutes makes their job nearly impossible.
Which just stick to what your time is.
Yep.
You're only getting paid $300 for the spot. Like, do your time. Don't act like it's like, well, I need to do the time that, I get paid for. Like, we're all getting paid the same. But I will say that Mark Maron over the weekend, I went to the Comedy Store and he was in front of me and I was late for my next set. So I had to be on stage. And if I get on stage exactly when I'm supposed to, I'm already late for my next set. But I already have it arranged that it's going to be okay with the next set. So Mark Maron's on stage. He starts running the light a little bit in an okay way. 2 minutes over, I'm still like, what? It's fine. As long as he's like finishing up the bit that started before the light began, I'm fine. And it's Mark Maron, by the way. Mark Maron can do whatever he wants. He's a goat, right? And he kind of looks like a goat sometimes. So he finishes a bit and then it wasn't what he wanted it to be, and I could tell. And I'm in the back of the room and I'm like kind of looking like, Mark, please finish. I got to make my set. And I'm texting with my next set being like, and I'm telling the girl in the booth, I'm texting the next set saying, I'm going to be late. But I'm also telling the girl who's running the light at this place, I can't do 15 minutes. I have to do 8 minutes. I'm going to miss my next set. So I'm cutting my time as Mark goes on. So then Mark goes, he knows I'm next because he's bringing me up and he goes, Nikki, can I do one more bit? I'm sorry. You don't care if I do one more bit. And the woman next to me has seen me panicking up until this point. And the woman next to me is my old roommate's mother, who's a little brazen and might have had a couple cocktails. So I go, it's fine. She goes, no. And she like shouts for me. She goes, but it's not okay. And I go, and I go, Mark, it's fine. It's fine. And I go, God damn. And I lean back in my chair kind of like, oh, fuck. Not at Mark, but because I gave him permission. He asked, but more at the situation. And then Mark's friend is next to me, Tom Sharpling, a guy who's been on our podcast before. But Tom Sharpling came in with Mark and I forgot Tom was sitting there. And then Tom saw me get exasperated and I knew he was going to tell Mark. So I go over to Tom and I go, will you please not tell Mark that I'm upset that he's running the light because I did give him permission. I'm just in my own head. And so I will say that I do allow people to run the light when they ask or they acknowledge it. I don't care. But when you think you're hot shit, and I hope I never get to a place in my career where I think I'm such hot shit that I can treat other people worse and like I'm better than them. Because to this person, you're not better than us. You aren't. And the only thing that makes you feel good is to do stuff like this because you do feel so small. And you probably should go to therapy is my advice. And that's the podcast for this today. Thank you for being here. Baby decisions. Rants, relationship worries, wedding appreciation. We will see you tomorrow on the show. Don't be and just go see me on tour. Chicago, September 15th. Peoria, Illinois, September 16th. Bunch of other dates at nikkiglaser.com.